Welcome to my cooking show, The Natural Cook with Anna Gershenson. I've been agonizing about the name of my show, what name to give it. I've been bugging my friends and family, they were probably sick of me. But when The Natural Cook came about, it hit the spot. And I'll share with you why. I've had passion for cooking since I was a child. I was always hanging out in our communal kitchen in the former Soviet Union, where my mom and my neighbor were making dinner. She was joking that I would be a chef one day. Something about food makes me happy and relax. When I come into the kitchen, I feel this is where I belong. So I'm inviting you today to my kitchen because this is what has inspired me to create this show. I realize that so many people have strayed away from cooking at home, and there is nothing like food prepared at home that makes you really happy, makes your bodies happy, makes you feel good, and makes you feel nourished and taken care of. Not even talking about your families, your husband, your loved ones, your kids. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my philosophy of cooking. When I came to this country, I encountered such an abundance and variety of different foods that I've never had in my life before. However, very quickly I realized that my body wasn't really very happy. And after reading all kinds of books and publications, I stumbled upon what it was that wasn't making my body happy. Turned out that it was hormones and antibiotics in the meat that I was consuming. It was giving me migraine headaches. And I understood that I had to become a vegetarian. I had no choice. Actually, I discovered this after I became a vegetarian. That's the funny thing, that I started subscribing to Vegetarian Times magazine and discovering what goes into food that is being raised, the cattle, the poultry. And I said to myself, I don't feel right eating it. And when I became a vegetarian, a few months later, I discovered that my migraines have disappeared. So that was a real discovery for me. And only when natural food stores came on the market where they were selling foods, meats without hormones, antibiotics, only then I switched to eating all kinds of foods, including meat and poultry. So my philosophy is based on you are what you eat. And it's as close to the soil as possible. So you can see the table that I have here in front of you. It has vibrant colors. The green asparagus that notifies the beginning of spring, the beautiful herbs that are going to go into your food to create a green sauce that will top the chicken and that will make it also vibrant and your body happy. I have here lemons and limes. I do not use lemon from a bottle. I prefer to use real citrus fruit, and I'll explain to you why. So when you come to the kitchen to cook, you want to have all your ingredients in place. The French call it mise en place. It means that whatever you're cooking with, which is your tools, and whatever you're cooking, which is your ingredients, they should be in front of you. And then you can ready to start cooking. There is another ingredient which you cannot see, but it's a very important ingredient. It is peace. When you come to the kitchen, you should leave your worries behind. You should breathe out and put a happy smile on your face and then your peaceful, good energy will be transported to your food, and the people who will eat it will be happy eating it. The menu that I prepared for you today that we are going to cook together is Mediterranean chicken with different spices. I have already pre-mixed them. I will talk to you more about the chicken and spices I used a little later. It is asparagus. I couldn't resist putting asparagus on the menu today because it's just so vibrant and fresh. And you can already buy asparagus that comes from California, and soon it will appear in farmers markets soon enough. Then it's green sauce that will consist of parsley, cilantro, scallions, lemon juice, and extra virgin olive oil. As you can see, everything is very simple. We are going to prepare asparagus two ways. I want to show you how to roast it quickly in a hot oven, as well as cook it on top of the stove and just dress it with sweet butter and fresh lemon juice. I have a little mini quiz here, and it will help me with all the herbs together with olive oil and juice to prepare the green sauce. And I also brought something that is going to be like a fresh salsa for the chicken. It is a mango because they are really now in supermarkets, and you can buy them. They are flavorful and delicious and full of nutrients, as well as kiwi, a little bit of jalapeno pepper for spiciness, and lime juice that is going to be adding some acidity. So let's talk about the ingredients that I'm buying and why I feel strongly about the ingredients that I'm buying and cooking with. First of all, the chicken. The chicken that I get is chicken that is raised without hormones, antibiotics. I know that it is more expensive than buying just regular chicken, but the way that chickens are raised today in these factory environments without any space to promote fast growth, they are given antibiotics and hormones, and so whatever they eat becomes part of us. So if you want to have clean body, you need to eat clean food. So the chicken that I'm using today is boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and we'll get to it next after we prepare our asparagus. When you buy asparagus, you want to make sure that the buds are tight, that it looks unblemished, that there are no brown spots anywhere. What I do when I come from the supermarket, I take my bunch of asparagus and I put it on a counter, and I take a sharp knife, and then I trim the ends, because they, like with flowers, you know, when you put flowers in the vase, you want to make sure that they continue getting water. The same with asparagus. I would trim the ends and discard the bottom, and then I would find a little jar, like here you see this plastic jar from Talenti sorbet. It was delicious, but it's gone, and I kept it. And now my asparagus is going to go there, and I'm going to put just a little bit of water on the bottom. You know, you probably noticed how in the supermarket they have asparagus sitting in the water. So you just put a little bit of water on the bottom, and then put it on the door of your refrigerator, because probably there it fits best, and cover it with a plastic baggie, and it will be happy there waiting for you to be cooked when you are ready. It will probably, you probably can keep it there for a few days in good shape. So this is my favorite kind of way to um, to keep together whatever I'm discarding. All right, so now there are two ways to cook asparagus. One is cooking it in the hot oven, and the other one is cooking it on top of the stove. So what we are going to do is turn on the stove to bring the water to boiling point. We're also going to take our baking sheet, grab some asparagus. What you want to do is to just make sure that it snaps easily. So you'll take your asparagus, and wherever it snaps, that is above it. Above that point is a good place to eat it, but below it is still kind of woody, so it's not going to be palatable, and you want to discard it. So we are going to go through our asparagus quickly to make sure that it is going to be really delicious and tender. So after you have done that, the next thing you want to do is just season it with some salt, pepper, and extra virgin olive oil. I use kosher salt because it's clean and pure. I like the brand Diamond because it's very sweet, unlike Morton's, which is harsh and much saltier. The woody ends are going out into the garbage. You can keep them probably to make a stock, like to make a vegetable stock, but we're not going to do it now. So then I even the ends, and that I can put and actually snack on later. So let's take the asparagus here. We'll save a few for boiling and season. On goes my salt. Freshly ground black pepper. There is nothing like freshly ground pepper. You cannot compare it to the one that you have already in the jar. It's like day and night. And believe me, it's a worthwhile investment to have the pepper grinder that will serve you for many, many, many years. Then we'll drizzle some olive oil. Not too much. Toss it again to make sure to coat the asparagus with it. And then we'll just put it in the preheated oven at 450 degrees. And when the asparagus is ready, we'll pull it out. It doesn't take long. You shouldn't leave it there for more than 5 minutes. Of course, if your asparagus is thick, it will take longer, but when it's thin, it will cook really fast. So I'm sticking it into the oven now. My water is boiling. The first thing I want to do is season it. When you're cooking green vegetables like asparagus or green beans, your water should be highly seasoned. Don't be afraid to add good amount of salt to it, because if you don't, then it will taste kind of bland, and you want it really flavorful. So now that the water is boiling, and you don't need a lot of water, you are putting the asparagus into the water, and you are watching it closely. What you are looking for is for the color to start turning. Asparagus is kind of pale color, but as it is cooking, it is going to turn deeper color. So you want to have your tongs ready, and you are kind of watching. You also want to have a little plate ready and a sharp knife, little knife, because what you are going to be doing is taking one piece of asparagus out of the pan, putting it onto your plate, cutting a small piece, tasting it, and then putting it back if it's not done. But if it's done, then definitely you want to pull it all out and put it on a plate. So I have my platter here, and I'll show you what I do with this asparagus. So I see that a couple of minutes maybe passed by. It's beginning to turn color even more. So I'm tasting it, and it's done. You don't want to have the asparagus too hard, but at the same time, if it gets mushy, it loses color, and it also continues cooking after you take it off the heat, like everything. Okay, turning off my. Okay, so what you want to do now, if you're not going to eat asparagus right away, you can just soak it in cold water, dry it up, wrap it maybe in a clean paper towel, and put it in a baggie and store it in your refrigerator until you're ready to serve it. Then you can either serve it at room temperature, dress it, or you can quickly dip it into boiling water and kind of bring it back to heat and serve it. So let's see what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pour off this water. The skillet goes back, and I'm adding some butter. Okay, make sure that it's not burning. We just want to melt it, and we want to use sweet unsalted butter. So then I'm taking the lemon. I'm rolling the lemon because when you roll it, then it will yield better amount of juice. I'll cut it in half. The butter is close to being melted. Okay, come on, butter. All right. So now I will squeeze. I don't want the seeds to get in, so I'll use this juicer. I'll squeeze some juice into the pan. Okay. It looks good. Now I'm going to taste. Nice and tart. And I'm going to dump my asparagus back. The asparagus goes back, and you can just like shift the pan, and you see how asparagus is getting coated, and it's done. So now I'm going to place my asparagus on my tray, and I'm going to pour the lovely butter and lemon over it. And you don't want to do it far in advance because lemon discolors the vegetable. So if you keep it too long, you will see that asparagus will start losing the color. Then I'm going to grind the pepper, and it's going to be ready for whatever comes next. Let's check now our roasted asparagus. Okay. Okay. As you can see, it is changing color, but you want it to be a little bit, I don't think it is soft yet, so I'm going to put it back. I'm just looking at the color, and I want it to get even deeper and kind of get a little brown spots. Okay, so now that we are done with our asparagus, we are going to go to our chicken. Okay. As you know, we are not supposed to cut chicken on the same surface as we are cutting vegetables or other foods. So what I did here, I brought a little cutting board, and I'm going to now show you what I'm going to do with the chicken. First of all, your chicken should be dry when you're working with it. So use a paper towel. Second of all, you want to make sure that your hands are clean, that and you clean your chicken, that your hands are clean after you handle the chicken. That's very, very important. So what you do now is you butterfly the chicken. You can cook it with a whole thickness, but then it's kind of more unpredictable, and it also takes longer. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to butterfly the chicken. You see where there is this thicker part? You are going to take your knife and kind of measure it going into the flesh halfway thickness, and then cut it so that you are making like a pocket inside. And then you are starting to open the pocket, and you feel, if you feel that it's still thick underneath, then you are going to cut a little more so that your thickness evens out. And then you open it out, and your chicken is butterflied. Now, what you want to do is season it. You can also, flatten it even more. If you want to make it thinner, you can put plastic wrap, and then you can take like some kind of flat surface, like a pan or a mallet, and you can just bang it there, and it will be as thin as you want it to be. So then you want to season it. First goes the salt. One side, the other. Then we use the spice. Actually, I'm going to use the garlic first, and let me tell you why. If you put the spice, then you kind of start getting everything messy. In order to apply the garlic, I'm going to show you a trick that I use that's very, very handy. First of all, to clean the garlic, I'm going to kind of like push on it, and you can hear the sound of cracking. That means that the peel is going to remove pretty easily after this cracking. And what you do is take off the peel, and your garlic is ready to go. So now, this is the tool that is a grater or microplane grater. You can use either of them, because I'm also going to grate zest to flavor the chicken. So I'm going to use this grater for garlic and this for lemon. However, you could first grate the lemon zest and then do the garlic and use just one. So you grate the garlic, and now it's like a paste. So what you do, you take your hand and you just rub garlic into your chicken. So that's a very easy way to impart flavor. And of course, garlic is very nutritious. It's wonderful food flavoring and very good for you. Now we are going to sprinkle spices. The spices I used are cumin, coriander, which is the seed of cilantro, all ground. Also oregano, paprika, and a little bit of cumin. After I applied spices, I will squeeze a little bit of juice over my chicken. I'm holding the hand not to let the seeds go through. And now I'm ready to drizzle some olive oil. And zest some lemon. Now the chicken is ready to go into the refrigerator to be marinated for a few hours or until the next day, whenever you are ready to eat it. Okay. Time to check asparagus. All right, now it looks the way I want it. As you can see, it's bright green. It kind of starts blistering a little bit and shriveling a little bit because it's dehydrating. And it looks very appetizing. So what we are going to do now is just transfer it to our pan. To our serving dish. And let me start heating the pan so that I can cook the chicken next. Okay. So one asparagus on one side and the other asparagus on the other. And chicken will go in the middle. All right. Done. Okay. In order to cook the chicken, you want to preheat your skillet. You don't want to have it too hot because you don't want the oil to be burning. I'll wipe it with a paper towel to make sure that I don't have any liquid, because you know what will happen. If you pour the liquid, then the oil into the liquid, then it will be splattering and it's very, very dangerous. Okay. In goes the chicken. We'll cook it on one side for about 4 minutes, and then we'll flip it to the other side. The thing to watch is the size of the chicken. You will see that as it's cooking, it starts changing color. So when you see that it's becoming opaque, then you are going to flip it to the other side and finish cooking. Now, I have a test that I want to share with you to see whether the chicken is done. You kind of poke it and you see, like now, it is really mushy. The more the chicken cooks, the firmer it gets. And so if you don't trust yourself, you can take a piece and make a little incision and see if it's still pink. And if it is, then you can just put it back to finish cooking. And also don't forget that after you cook the chicken, you should let it rest so that the juices come back to the center and don't escape and make your chicken dry. While the chicken was cooking in the oven, I finished it in the oven. I made the green sauce. So I threw into the food processor a cup of parsley, maybe a little bit of like third of a cup of cilantro, 1 scallion that was cut into smaller pieces. I whirled it in the food processor. I squeezed fresh lemon juice, added salt and freshly ground pepper, and drizzled olive oil, maybe a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice and a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and then I added a bit more. After I whirled them all together, you have this vibrant green, beautiful looking sauce that is very delicious, and it's going to go over the chicken and asparagus, and it's going to make you really, really happy. Thank you for coming and watching my show. See you next time.